Hi everybody, today I'm doing a video on how to get your advanced drone pilot license in Canada. It's not overly complicated, but there is a process to go through. You need to go through a Transport Canada exam and you'll have to do a flight review as well. So once you get those two done, you'll have your license. Now, there's quite a bit of studying to be done, and then you need to prepare for the flight review. You can spend a fortune doing that, or you can spend months, but I gave myself 4 weeks and the lowest budget possible to do that, and I achieved that in 3 weeks and came around $400+ Canadian. That includes the cost for the exam and also the cost for the certification. So I will go through a process. I'll give you tips on what you should be looking for studying the exam, as well as what to expect for the flight review. So let's get started. First thing you'll have to do is go through a Transport Canada exam. So it is very hard, mainly because you have 60 minutes to do 50 questions and you need 80% to pass. And the curriculum have a lot of questions, there's a lot of knowledge, and the majority of that knowledge have nothing to do with drone pilots. It's primarily for helicopter pilots, airplane pilots. With the drones that we fly with that cert, there's a lot of information in there that have nothing to do with it. But you still gotta go through and you still gotta get your 80% mark. So you need to find some good study material, and you'll need to take some solid notes and get ready and have a very good base core knowledge of the information you need for the test. You can go and do like I did, go online, trying to find information on drone schools. There is a bunch out there and it's very lucrative. So there is some school out there that have packages, some have like in class, some have online. But once you start looking into that, you can easily go over $1,000 super quickly. So it was way too much for my budget. So I started looking into apps instead I could use on my phone, even if I was offline or online. And I came across an app called Flight Ready. I got the iOS version. So I was going away for 4 weeks at sea. So big part of that time I'm at sea, I don't have connection to the internet. So the big thing about this app was I could use it offline. So I did a little bit more research. There's not a whole lot of review about it, but I put a little bit of like content right here. I'll show you on my phone here in a second what you can do with it. But all I'm gonna say is this was perfect. This gave me roughly around 80% of all the knowledge I needed on the tests, and only like 20% of the question were not fully covered in the app. So in terms of giving you a very good base core knowledge, this app will do the trick. So let's have a look. So this is the app. You can see there's 3 modules and you get the full package. Let's have a look at the advanced operations. There's 2 sections, I should say, the core knowledge and the flight operations. Between the two, you'll find all of the information of the curriculum that you'll find on the Transport Canada website to complete your exam. So as you can tell, there is quite a bit here, and at the end you have the stage check, which is just basically questions, a quiz about the whole section that you've been through. So lots and lots of questions, lots of good stuff. In order to pass this course, you go to the course requirements. You'll see you need to do all the lessons, do a minimum 15 hours, do 5 exams, pass the end of the course. Now, of course, you don't have to finish the course, but this is how much stuff there is in there. If you want, you can practice out of every topic, over 553 questions, 163 flashcards, and many simulated exams. So there is a lot to learn here. It's great. So there's a library as well that brings you on the internet, and then you can find a lot of different information. So if you click on any of those, it'll bring you to a different website where you'll find the information. So there's also a lot of different things if you're unsure about any material in the course. So once you get your study material, go through and take lots of notes. And once you get your notes, make sure you know where to find the information into your notes. Now, I'll talk a little bit about the test here. I can't really tell you specific questions, but I'll tell you roughly what the test was mainly about. So I would say about 70% of my tests had something to do with like aerodynamic, airfoil, everything that have to do with like airplanes, wings, helicopter wings, drone wings, how the air works and flow around them. And then a lot to do with the motors as well. And weather, a lot to do with the fronts, thunderstorm, make sure you know what the thunderstorms are all about. And then there's like various weather phenomenon in there. So just there will be key points and key phenomenon in there that you'll have to know. And after that, like everything else was like just random questions. Oh yeah, I should say, because of airspace, there will be quite a few questions about the airspace, the classes, and the communication in the airspace as well, and what to do with your drone for emergencies when it comes to flying near airports. So those were kind of the core, kind of like section that I encountered in my 2 tests. Now, if I can give you tips for the test, so first best tip I can give you is start by answering every question you know. Questions you don't know the answer or the one you need to refer to your notes, just skip them. You can come back to them at any time. So go through the whole test. For me, the first time I did the test, I went through and I referred to my notes. And by the time I was referring to my notes, I started to run out of time towards the end of the exam because I was searching too much. So the second go ahead at it, I passed every single question I didn't know. And then I had like, I think it was roughly 20 minutes to answer the 10 questions I didn't know. So it was way better that way. Second tip for you, you need to refer to your notes. You need to know where to find the information in your notes. So before you take the test, go back to your notes and then refresh your memory where the topics are, where the keywords are into your notes. Use highlighter, whatever you got to do. But make sure that whenever they ask you a question about a specific weather phenomenon or about thunderstorms, then you know where to flick into your notes to quickly find them. And tip number 3 for you, have the regulation open onto your browser, onto the window. So you can get all the regulations in there. So whenever you get some obscure military questions in there, then you can kind of either go ahead and then search the keywords into the regulation and then find the answer that way. So it's sometimes better to guess if you run out of time, but if you have the time and you have the regulation and your notes, there's a good chance that the questions you don't know, you'll be able to find the answer and have the correct ones. So that's about it for the test. You'll go through, you might fail, you might pass the first time. Congrats if you do. Whenever you do that part, Transport Canada will issue you your exam, not the exam, but your little certificate that said that you passed. And then once you get that, you'll be able to book a flight review. Now, talking about the flight review. Transport Canada does not offer flight review, so you'll need to find a flight reviewer near you or somewhere that you want to go, because there's only a handful of them out there that are certified to do that. And you can go through Transport Canada website, and in there you'll be able to search like drone schools, and then from there you'll be able to find flight reviewers, and from there you'll be able to book with them. Now, be aware that some flight review go through some schools, and then they'll be asking you to take a flight review course. It's basically telling you what to expect into your flight review, and then it can go up to $150 to $300 for that course. Now, I did not take any type of other courses. All the study material I did was for the exam, and everything else afterwards, I kind of Googled it, and I did find a little bit of information online. There's not that much, but I'll tell you into this video what to expect in a few minutes here. So you're going to go ahead and find a flight reviewer. That's going to cost you roughly $195 to $200 plus tax for your flight review. That's the cheapest that I could find. I'm based out of Victoria in British Columbia on Vancouver Island, and there was only 2 options that I could find that were nearby that were willing to do it at the time. There was a flight school in Victoria, and these guys were kind of pushing a little bit their to get their course as well, to get like a radio, not a license, but a crash course on how to use a radio. And there was another company called BCUAV out of Chemainus, and the gentleman I dealt with, his name is Jason, and I really suggest you guys really highly suggest booking with Jason at BCUAV. Great experience. The guy is very professional. We showed up. He gave me a list of things to expect for the flight review, basically telling me what I had to do in order to pass the flight review. So that way I didn't have to take a course, explain me what to expect in flight review, because that information was provided for free. So from there, he gave me a location. After we get the location, then you can start doing your homework and get ready for the day. So Jason, thumbs up, 2 thumbs up, and I suggest you guys look him up if you're looking to get a flight reviewer on Vancouver Island. All right, so before I did the flight review, I personally went and bought an app called Drone Pilot. So the Drone Pilot app come at $50. So this app is geared towards flying your drone in general. It's not necessarily for the flight review, but this app is fantastic in a way where I'm going to be using that in the future for my business. You can enter lots of information in it. You can easily access a lot of information. I am flying the DJI Mavic Air, the first version, and the DJI app will show me the airspace where I can and where I can't fly, but it's quite limited a little bit to that. I mean, you'll have your flight log, like location and flight time and all that stuff in the DJI app, but it is very limited to that. So the Drone Pilot app, have a lot more features. So I made a little quick review on it. So let's have a look. Let's go and have a look at the Drone Pilot app. So this is what you're going to see when you open it. It'll let you know where you're at with all the airspace on a satellite map. If you click on any of the circles around, they'll let you know what they are. If you click on the airspace, it'll bring you straight to them. So it's great. You don't have to muck around trying to figure out how to find them. You have the NOTAMs bottom left. So then if you click on that, you can write whatever airport airspace you want. Then they'll bring you to NOTAMs. So it's great if you have internet connection, you'll be able to do that. And then if you go and to look at the list, you can do your flight logs in there. You can have your crew, so you can enter all those people and easily find them afterwards. The aircraft that you own or you use are in there as well. Store documents. I imported my SOPs and a few things in there. They are there to use. Then you have checklists and procedures. So if you don't remember, you're on the spot, if you want to find the flyaway procedures, they're all in there. Bullet points, easy to find. Checklist before you fly, after you fly, it's all there. Great tool. If you try a new flight, right now I can't, it's letting me know why. You get all those red dots telling me that I can't. I need my specific advanced pilot and so forth, and licenses if you want a special license. If you want to do that, then you can take a look, do circles around, look at location. You can look at the distance to the nearest aerodromes, and then you'll know where they are, how far they are. And then you can have your little 2 tabs there, and then give you your nice air map, the sky vector. Easy to find to where you're at. So this is a very easy app. You can tailor a lot of stuff. Highly suggest it. So before you go and do your flight review, you'll have to do a few things. You'll have to prepare yourself, and you'll have to come to your flight review prepared and show your flight reviewer that you know your stuff. So here's a few tips for you guys and what to expect when you're going to go do your flight review. So first thing, you got to practice how to fly your drone. So you need to be able to fly this thing and look at your drone and manually land, take off, do certain pattern with it. So do squares with your drone facing away, do squares with your drone facing you, do figure eights. The flight reviewer may get like any type of like cones out there and stuff like that, little parkour you guys will need to go through. So you need to be competent at flying your drone. So get out there beforehand, go and practice if you haven't got much practice flying your own drone. And then after that, you should be all right in that portion of the flight review. The second tip, you will need to know your drone very well. So what I mean by that is you'll need to know what's the maximum speed, what's the maximum altitude, what's your maximum range, etc. So you'll have to go into your manual of your drone, any type of materials that you can get online or that came with it, and then you'll have to take notes. There will be emergency situations where it's best if you know how far your drone can fly at 50% battery if your drone don't respond to your command anymore, stuff like that, right? So you'll have to have all these notes and all the limitation of your drone as well. So go do a bit of homework. So what I've done is I wrote a bunch of things into a notebook, and then from there I use that material to help me create more material. So after that, you'll have to create some type of operation procedures. So what I mean by that is there will be question on your flight review. What happened if your drone no longer respond to your command and start flying away? It could be a horizontal flyaway, it could be a vertical flyaway. So you need to basically say what you're gonna do about the situation. So it could be anything from, okay, well, my phone's flying away, I'm gonna try to reconnect my controller. If it doesn't work, if you get any kind of like the drone that I have here, the Mavic Air, have some crash stop where you hold the joysticks in a certain way for a certain amount of seconds and it will crash stop your drone. So you can put that in there. There's a return to home feature. So once your drone get away, after 3 seconds of not using your joysticks and not responding too much, the drone will automatically decide, okay, it's time to come home. So stuff like that, the return to home functions, you will have to look into that as well. And then write all these things down. What happened if you can't control your drone? Get an emergency numbers and of the aviation emergency numbers hotline and stuff like that. So you'll have to make emergency operation procedures, for your flyaway, for your lost link, and then for incidents and accidents. So know which form you need to fill and know where to find that information and the proper phone numbers to call in case of emergency. The next thing you'll have to do is to create a flight plan. So you can have a location, go on Google Earth, take a look at what's around, if there are any like towers, buildings, traffic, roads, livestock, name it, anything that you can find on Google Earth. And then find yourself like somewhere, a mission that you're gonna do. Maybe it's gonna be passed to you by a flight reviewer. And in my case, that was a nice field, it was wide open, that was kind of nice. I didn't have to worry too much. So there was a road, there was buildings. So I gave myself a diameter of safety net around a portion of the field, and I knew if I went past that 0.2 kilometers that I was getting in a situation that I could potentially fly over houses and people driving and stuff like that, right? So you'll have to do your flight plan. So you'll have to look at the airspace around. So look at what type of airspace you have in the area. Look at your NOTAMs for these airspaces that are around or anything that pertain for the area that you're going to be flying. You'll need to find the weather as well. If there's any other type of activity around, you'll need to know that. So write that down. So today I'll be flying at whatever time. The weather will be this. The weather was that at X hour. Our mission is to fly and film a field, and those are the NOTAMs that I find that are pertinent. So the information, they will be a training flight 6 nautical miles away from my location, stuff like that. And then once you get all that information, you show your flight reviewer you've done your homeworks, that you're prepared, and that should be pretty good. And then the last thing you'll have to do for your flight review, you'll have to get on there and brief your crew. So if you have visual observers, you'll have to brief them on what they have to do, the mission, the roles, and what to do in case of emergency situations, and so forth. So once you get everybody briefed, and then it will be time to fly, and at that point, the flight reviewer will make you take off, go in a certain area, throw some questions and perhaps some emergency situation at you, see how you maneuver your drone, and once he's satisfied with everything that the person have on his list, then you will be asked to land your drone, and at that point, you'll have your flight review done. So, another thing I should mention, if you have one battery, bring more batteries. Nothing worse than having a flight review going too short because you don't have too much juice for your drone. Okay, so hopefully that's all information that's going to be useful to you guys, because when I look online, I couldn't find much info on like what to expect, and it was quite extensive in terms of what you have to do, but I couldn't find much about the flight review itself. So hopefully that can help you prepared for your exam and for your flight review. So I have some example of my emergency procedure on my website. I wrote a blog as well as that on my website about this topic, so you can go and take a look. I'll put the link in the description below, and just go and have a look. If you don't know exactly what to expect, it's going to be there. All right, so all in all, it didn't cost me too much. It took me roughly a month of studying and / taking my flight review. It was about $400, so I'm pretty happy now. I can go and do some pretty slick drone footage and the advanced level, and I'm pretty happy about it. So if you have any questions at all, just please leave them in the section comments below, and any comments as well, feel free to leave them down below as well. All right, thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you next time.